Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. Today, we have an extraordinary watch unboxing. The most expensive watch and most complicated watch I have ever unboxed, and one of the most expensive I have ever reviewed. It is the Patek Philippe 5207P. Now, this is going to push my equipment to its very limit, because when you buy a flagship Patek Philippe, you get a big box. It's filling the entire frame, even as I extend my camera to the limit of the articulated arm that holds this thing. In fact, this is as close as I can get to showing you the entirety of the box. Let's take a quick look at just how huge this box is. As you can see, it's physically massive. Here's my hand. This is an enormous box. You could easily compare this to a Louis Vuitton Junior travel trunk. So let's start opening the box and see what you get for your $800,000. We open up the box, and the first thing we see is another box. It's a box in a box. But that's not uncommon. What is uncommon is when a box features a realistic representation of the mechanism within. This is the Calatrava cross cap to a centrifugal minute repeater governor, and this watch has one of those. This is not some generic Calatrava cross box. This is specifically for a repeating timepiece. Now, once again, it's simply enormous. As you can see, the volume of this box in a box necessitates that I remove it, and there's quite a bit of heft. It's even printed with the image of the mechanism onto the side. The watch is in the box, as is everything else included with the set. So now we have the inner box. We're not done yet. We're going to take a quick look at what comes inside. Raising the cover, raising the roof, so to speak, on this box, we have a wonderful felt cover to the inner box, which is beautifully lacquered and varnished. You can see that this is no mean machine. This is exceptional. Now, there is a little keyhole. The key is inside. You can see just how voluminous this box is. Again, here's my hand. There's a little tray in the bottom that pulls out. But first, let's withdraw the box. There are some little packaging shims that help to keep it from moving around, but they have no functional purpose. They don't contain any kind of wrapped guide or manual. The sleeve around the box comes off like so. And now we're going to get close again. Take a look at what sits inside this imposing carapace. Taking a quick look at the top. Oh, there it is, the Patek Philippe 5207P. Let's take a quick look at this watch. What is it that occasions such a boxed set? Well, it's a watch 41 millimeters in platinum that has an instantaneous change perpetual calendar. It has a minute repeater. It has a moon phase, and it has a tourbillon regulator. Now, I will fire up the tourbillons to get the benefit, but remember, if you want my full review of this watch, go out and check my long-form standalone review of the model. Now, you can see what sets it apart really is the case profiling. Patek makes this case itself, hand engraved and then interior chiseled. You can see that that motif is rendered across these lovely arcing lugs, and also on top of the repeater slide itself, there's a diamond between the lugs, as you expect to find on a platinum Patek, a beautiful concave bezel to make it look thinner than its 14 millimeter thickness. It's 51.4 millimeters lug to lug, 41 millimeters overall. It has what Patek Philippe calls a honey gold colored dial that is actually made of solid gold. It has an instantaneous change perpetual calendar, so you have the day, the date, the month, the leap year phase, a day-night indicator, a moon phase, constant seconds, white gold hands, white gold indices, all of this, remember, on a dial that is made of solid gold. Flip it over, and you can see that it is an alphabet soup. This is caliber RTO 27 PS QI. QI for quantième, instant. It is an instantaneous perpetual calendar. You can see that the third wheel of the drivetrain is actually made of 14 karat gold, and it takes about 9 to 11 hours to hand finish that component. It's designed to look like the wheel of a watchmaker's topping up or rounding tool. We have a tourbillon that's free sprung with an overcoil. It's a Gyromax style. You can see there's a full steel, black polished, skeletonized, and interior beveled bridge for the tourbillon. And then you have the repeater strikers. We're going to fire this up just so you can appreciate it and then do a quick wrist shot, but this is not the long form review, so don't expect a full rundown on all of the history and tech specs. Just know this watch came out in 2008, and you can see it is instantaneous change, and it was made, as you see it here, from 2008 through 2015, when it was succeeded by subsequent versions of the 5207. Remember I showed you the centrifugal governor on the box? The box had a picture of this mechanism right here. You can also see why they call black polish, particularly on the strikers, the screws, and the bridge for the tourbillon. You could see from certain angles, it turns completely black. So that is the 5207P. It's a watch that these days sells for about $850,000, which is pretty close to what it sold for new, so it's retained its value well, and that is not always the case with Patek Philippe Grand Complications. So the watch has actually held up well over time. Let's see what else we get in this case. Well, maybe not as much as you would hope. We've got a little cushion that has a slot in the side for the pusher tool used to adjust the calendars on the watch. All of the calendar indications in the moon phase can be adjusted using this little pusher, but today, we're going to zoom out again, you can see that it's actually, by the way, take a quick look at the rest of the interior of the box. Even the metal hardware, the hinges, the trigger to open it up, they're beautifully polished, and you can see they're lush in their detail. They look genuinely luxurious. We've got this little drawer in the base that contains a few nicks and knacks, one of which is actually a hang tag that came with the watch from service, and it was serviced just last year in 2022. And because I know you're wondering, it was $5,670 for a full overhaul from Patek, which I find to be completely reasonable. Taking a quick look, you can see this is the pusher tool that would normally slot into the flank of the mounting cushion for the watch. It comes from Patek Philippe. It's the best implement for adjusting your watch. And then there's also a hang tag which features the serial number of the movement and the case. Finally, we have the accessory platinum case back, so you get both. You get this display case back and also a solid platinum case back to make sure Patek is not shorting you the platinum. It's included for purposes of integrity. And then we have a little key that can be used in the keyhole to unlock this box. So a nice little set so far, but absolutely enormous in volume for the amount of features it actually contains. But wait, there's more. If you thought that was the end of the line, you're wrong. We're not even close. Okay. Here is what you're really paying for when you buy a near $1 million Patek Philippe. There is a folio inside, and I've never masked so many serial numbers. You can see on the flank, it includes both the reference and the double serial movement and case. Now, as I pull out the interior of this sleeve, you can see it covers a lovely sort of linen textured cardboard box that includes an enormous amount of material. You can see when the watch originally shipped, it had a plastic sleeve. These are also provided when the watches go back for service at Patek Philippe. So this is a service return sleeve. Taking a quick look at the mini folio and the big folio, we've got a couple of different items. Here you've got the full moon and leap year calendar. Jump right into this and it can help you out setting your watch. You've got everything you need to know. And if you need to know more, and this really is the best way to set these watches, go to Patek Philippe and check out their website features that help you to set everything from perpetual calendars to moon phases to celestial complications. All of that's available online. This is really just a quick brief. And I realize that is redundant, as all briefs are quick. Taking another look at the Patek Philippe Register. This is a way for you to register the watch with Patek, and in the process of registering the watch, you get the free Patek Philippe International magazine, basically for life. And given the price of the watch, you should. So this is unfilled. You can see it includes forms in many different languages. All of the original accessories with the watch are present, right down to the unused postage paid sleeve for the registration form to send that back to Geneva. Continuing on, you can see that there is a collector's library. Patek Philippe has its own library. That's right, a series of volumes describing the history of the company, and it's been making these since 1982. You can see we have the biography of Patek Philippe by Nicholas Folks. We also have the catalog of the Patek Philippe Museum, the emergence of the portable watch. Make sure we're not skipping any pages here. We also have the Patek Philippe Museum catalog, timepieces from 1839 to the 1980s. There is an entire book dedicated to the Grandmaster Chime anniversary model that came out in 2014 for 175 years of Patek Philippe. It was their most complicated wristwatch ever made, and it has a volume dedicated to its creation. There's an entire book dedicated to minute repeaters, both wrist minute repeaters and pocket watch minute repeaters. There is a book dedicated to the Star Caliber 2000 from the year 2000. And then we have a book on Patek Philippe pocket watches. We've also got a book on Patek Philippe wristwatches with a focus on vintage pieces. And then internally, the legendary watches from Patek Philippe's private museum. You get all of that in here, and you can see Patek has an online catalog where you can browse these as well. But if you want to make the ultimate pilgrimage, you go to the Patek Philippe Museum, which was created in central Geneva out of a building originally occupied by Atelier Réuni, a case maker that Patek Philippe acquired in 1975. So it is an impressive facility, as you can see. 4 floors of watches, and it's a library as well, featuring 8,000 works on horology. You could see that the museum has a wonderful collection of watches that are Patek, but also generally important to the history of horology. Craft art pieces, historically important pioneers, firsts, and famous watches from many different manufacturers. You can see where it is right in the heart of Geneva, and it does help to call ahead because you do have to pay admission even as a Patek Philippe owner. And then you can see that the thematic tours are available. So if you want to focus on Geneva, the world of automaton, the art of enameling, all of that and more available at the Patek Philippe Museum, where you will see watches created by the Grand Masters throughout the ages, with a special focus on English watchmaking and its historic importance. The Patek Philippe Museum and Library can be visited online, and this is an inducement to do exactly that. You can also hide all of this away and pull out the pièce de résistance. This is the coolest part of the boxed set. First of all, this whole thing is bound in leather, and it's wonderfully slick. It's high grade. It's real. Open it up, and you find what must be the world's most grandiose user's manual. Here we go, Patek Philippe reference 5207. This is everything you ever wanted to know, lushly photographed. And you can see the studio work is superlative. It also includes individual inserted pages on a parchment-like paper that tells you everything you need to know. It has a minute repeater, a tourbillon, a perpetual calendar with retrograde date. Okay, this one doesn't have the retrograde date, but we're going to give them a pass there. It has an instantaneous changing perpetual calendar. This is not a 5213. Taking a quick look here, you can see all of the functions, notes on correcting the perpetual calendars, preparations prior to setting. We have detailed information on how to set the calendar system. We also have notes about the water resistance of the watch, moisture and dust only. It's a repeater, so don't soak it. Don't even get it wet in the rain or when washing your hands. Here are some notes on operating the minute repeater. And of course, service. We recommend that you have your watch serviced at least once every 3 to 5 years. That's actually pretty impressive for a highly complicated watch with over 500 pieces in the movement. 5 years is a decent service interval. And as we already know from earlier in the video, the service price for what this is actually quite reasonable. Opening up the next page, this is where you find more information about winding, changing the case back. Only qualified master watchmakers at the Patek Philippe workshops in Geneva are authorized to change the backs. Patek Philippe seal, a bit more of information on that. The earlier 5207Ps featured the Geneva hallmark and a chronometer certificate. Patek Philippe seal is the same level of quality. It's just a different stamp. It comes with a different cert, which we'll see in a minute right there. Dynamometric winding crown, an interesting way of describing a winding crown. This patented Patek Philippe innovation prevents damage to the winding mechanism when the mainspring is fully tensioned. So in other words, you can't accidentally overwind it. Now here we have the movement itself. It's an alphabet soup of features. It means repeater, tourbillon, 27mm base. The total movement diameter is 32. It has a small second and an instantaneous change perpetual calendar. It has 549 parts. Here are the other tech specs. And then the most interesting part of all of this comes on the last page, where Patek Philippe gives you the actual timing card for the watch. Has a lot of identifiable information, so I had to mask it extensively. And then you can see at the bottom, it includes notes about the timing tolerances of the watch. And as you can see, the delta between the 6 timed positions over 24 hours is only 1.2 seconds, which is incredible. And the watch only varied by 0.6 of a second over 24 hours in the timing tests, which is extraordinarily more exacting than COSC. Now, by the way, that signature is real. So is this one. So someone important took a look at this cert. That someone was Terry Stern. You've heard the rumor that he listens to all repeating watches before they leave the factory. Well, true fact, and he also signs up the certificates to the biggest pieces. So this is the certificate of origin. This is the birth certificate of your watch. Patek Philippe will not reissue this. This is something that effectively acts as your warranty card and the reference for the creation of the watch. There's a lot of information here, including the date of delivery, the name of the original dealer, and the name of the original owner. So I've masked all of that for the sake of privacy, but you can see that this is an extraordinary package of accessories for an extraordinary watch. It really is something else. When you pay nearly $1 million for a Patek Philippe, not only do you get a more substantial watch with a higher level of finishing, you get a more substantial boxed set, and this is the most extensive I have ever seen. Again, reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com if you have questions about this or any other Watchbox watch.